out the new truth of the landscape of American Judaism, or in this particular case, American religion. So there is a new study that is set to the world of religious scholars, all of us, by the Pew Research Group. 37,000 people were interviewed 7 years ago, and today, same exact question, so it's considered to be a fairly rigorous study. And the results are that Christianity in particular is collapsing in America. That is to say, just in the last 7 years, there has been a 7% decline of people who affiliate themselves with Christianity. 7% may not sound like a big number, but 7% of 200 and some million means millions of people are disassociated, and the trend seems to indicate that this pace is increasing. That Christianity, except for the most evangelical groups, is suffering huge issues. There is low attendance at their services, there is low participation in their programs, and even for those that would be normally or nominally called Christian, or parts of these denominations, you know, the twice-a-year Christian, the Christmas and Easter, are no longer going for Christmas and Easter, and even more shockingly, they're no longer even calling themselves Presbyterian, Episcopalian, or some denomination at all. Maybe they still identify as believing in a higher power, but they are no longer identifying themselves as Christian. Judaism actually has come off pretty well in this study. Don't get your hopes up too much. We have not picked up all those people leaving Christianity and translated them into Jews. Not that that would be a bad thing. I think that there is a very big market of people who are looking. I think Judaism does have the right answers for many, many millions of people. But Judaism has not declined as a share of the population during this same time period, which means compared to Christianity, we're winning. But the real question isn't just who's up, who's down, who's the same. The real question is why? Why are people disaffiliating from Christianity in such record numbers in this country? Any guesses? No? It seems a bit of a surprise. It seems like there are Christians everywhere. What's that? One of the biggest factors that the researchers are finding is the connection of right-wing politics to Christianity and Christian expression. That is to say, many people who are part of the Christian church have gotten fed up with their church having to also be their political party, having to be of a particular political persuasion in order to fit in to their worship group, to their spiritual home. And in fact, many, many people who have left have cited this as one of their primary motivations for leaving, that they no longer felt comfortable with the political direction that their church had taken. In a similar vein, kind of as a subcategory, the clash between religion and science has also been cited by many millions of people who have left, that they no longer felt comfortable having to check out of modern scientific advances and understanding of the universe, the age of the world, evolution, etc., in order to fit into their religious group. And so they disassociated from that group. So corruption and immorality within any of the denominations is essentially chalked up as being an ultimate statement of hypocrisy. That if the supposed best of the best of our faith are behaving in such a way, then why should I bother behaving and try to emulate them and their teachings? And indeed in Catholicism or in other denominations that have also been rocked by scandals, or individual churches that have been rocked by similar scandals, you have seen huge attrition rates in many. And the higher the veneration of the religious leader that has committed the scandal, the greater the repercussions have been. Any other addition? Because this is a very complicated phenomenon. This is not the only thing that explains it. What's that? Well, it's not something that people wear as a name tag that says, "Hi, my name is Chris Christensen. I left church last week." And indeed, and this 7% out of the 77% that is still Christian in the country, means that still 3 out of the 4 people you're going to meet walking down the street are identifying themselves as Christian. This is not saying that there is a palpable feeling that you're going to notice. If 1 out of 10 of your friends who used to go to church now isn't, that would be the most you might possibly notice. So this is not the phenomenon that you're going to see people just walking out of churches in droves.
I don't think Catholicism is any different than any other religion as to the decline for whatever reason through affiliation or anything. I think it's bad because it's all the way across the board. It's not just one religion.
It's not just one, but the research is showing that there are particular religions that are being hardest hit. And as I said, statistically, although synagogue affiliation is down, Jewish identification is not down. And we definitely want to work on that whole attendance and participation and alliance with institutions. But we can take some solace that people who were born Jewish or who became Jewish still identify themselves as Jewish more than those who were born or became Christian identify themselves as Christian, as a percentage. But there's one more piece that has often, I got a few more hands. Okay, so let me repeat, because we're right on target here, although I'm going to soften the language just a bit, because that's just what I do. So it's being pointed out that many people feel, that's my softening, many people feel who are part of the Christian church, that the church is often extremely exclusionary and judgmental of people that are different, that they are often antagonistic to minority groups, to people of different genders or of sexual orientations, people of different economic groups, foreigners, races, take your pick. There is a feeling within many of the churches, from the people who have left, that the church is too exclusionary and judgmental. That every time they sit in the pew, they feel that they are being judged by everyone else around them of whether they pray loud enough, whether they sing with a big enough smile, whether they put their hand up high enough, whether they put enough in the basket as it's going around, and if they don't, that they will be judged and shunned or reprimanded or in other ways made to feel less than small. And quite frankly, people who are citing this as a reason say they don't want to go to the church in order to be made to feel small and excluded. They want spiritual uplift. And this is a major reason for many have left. We're going to leave it at that for the main reasons, because I want to say, well, okay, how do these apply to Judaism? Right? Is Judaism in danger of tripping these same wires and of hemorrhaging even more of our adherents in this way? So let's start with the easiest one, perhaps. Judaism and science. Does Judaism have a big problem with 14 billion-year-old universe, 5 billion-year-old planet, evolution through natural selection and whatnot? No, do we find many people who are saying all of our textbooks have to be changed to represent an intelligent design creationist perspective? No. Okay, no problem there. And the fact that you see so many practicing Jews who are also practicing scientists, it speaks very well, I think, for the comfort we have with modern science as well. What about politics? Is Jewish politics driving people out of the pews? In Israel, there is a big problem, yes. In Israel, yes, there is a big problem where the political repercussions of the ultra-Orthodox platforms is alienating many of the non-ultra-Orthodox people in Israel. Absolutely. But in this country, and they're still Jewish, they still identify as Jewish, true, but they are leaving the pews. That is to say, they're not comfortable going to the synagogue, they're not comfortable supporting the synagogue when it makes these demands. But in America, not so much. We're going to come back to a special case in just a moment.
It almost seems like, at least from what I've seen, synagogues are very careful to avoid bringing politics into the synagogue. I mean, people can talk about it personally, but in terms of any kind of preaching from the Neva, studiously avoided.
We have a remarkable record of being one of the best representatives of what the 501c3 laws actually say. which is that a religious institution cannot not engage in primary political advocacy. There are many institutions out there that call themselves churches or other religious institutions that do almost only political activity. But Judaism in particular, partly because of our history and our lesson of keeping our nose down, which we learned in the previous centuries, means that we take it seriously, that we can practice our religion freely, and we're not going to step into the political realm as an institution. As individuals, Jews are all over politics. But as institutions, we have not been forcing a particular political platform down the pew's throats, at least on the whole. You get some changes here and there and some issues from time to time, but as a whole, political platforms have not been preached from the pulpit predominantly. Just one more piece. So, in the words of Hans Morgenthau, the strong do what they want, and the weak do what they must. But let's come to the third one, the exclusionary issue, the being judgmental. Judaism, is this an issue? In Orthodoxy? What about for the rest of us? Not so much. No, we're easygoing. We're not judgmental. No. Okay, I've got to give you a little bit of an update. The rest of the world doesn't agree with you. And many young Jews don't see it that way. This is the one issue where people's misunderstanding has created what can be a very, very negative drain upon our energy and upon our people. So, if someone is not Jewish, are they the same in our service as somebody who is Jewish? Yes? Really? We let somebody who's not Jewish have an aliyah? We let them read from the Torah? No? Can I do a wedding for somebody that's Jewish marrying somebody not Jewish? No? Can I do a bar mitzvah of a child that was born from a non-Jewish mother? Assuming the child hasn't converted independently? No. How exclusionary! How exclusionary! We're setting ourselves apart, and we have the gall to call ourselves, it's called chutzpah, to call ourselves the chosen people. We're saying that God only cares about us. No, but this is the perception. For thousands of years, among millions of people, and within a growing group within ourselves, this misconception is becoming the normative perception. And this is a major problem. Now, we don't need to change the rules, but we need to change the way people understand them. We need to change the way people relate to them. And this is going to be our battle for the next generation, is helping them to understand that when we say we are Jewish and that there is a distinction between us and those that are not Jewish, we are not being exclusionary in the sense of racist, bigoted, sexist, chauvinist, or any of the other forms of antagonism and discrimination that have been used to persecute those that were different. I saw a hand over here out of the corner of my eye. There.
Your judgment decision as to a conversion is very difficult due to the fact as to who did the conversion, as to being Jewish or not Jewish. I think there's a difference between the three sets that needs to be clarified in order to correct the decision there.
The distinction between the three different major movements of Judaism regarding conversion and how the process happens and who accepts whose is a massive conversation that we're going to have another time. I would love to have more clarification and unanimity among the different groups. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it is something that would be very nice to achieve. But let me come back to one of the issues that unites all of these different topics. That is to say, unites the exclusionary judgmental issue and the politics issue and the future of our people, and what is stirring some of the disaffiliation that needs to be stopped because it is misunderstood. And that's, I mentioned there was one little topic in the politics that can sometimes be divisive, and that little topic is called Israel. You've heard of Israel, right? Yes. And tomorrow, as I mentioned, we are celebrating Yom Yerushalayim. We're celebrating the day of the reunification of Jerusalem. And there are people among our own faith who say, why should Israel treat all of the other people in its country so poorly? Why should Israel be a Jewish state? Why should Israel demand that they keep control of Jerusalem? After all, it's just a city, right? So why should we pretend like we own it, like it's only ours, and be so exclusionary to the religious aspirations of other people? And indeed, there are many, many young people on college campuses and elsewhere who do get uncomfortable when we talk about Israel because they have a vague feeling that Judaism, through the vehicle of Israel, has persecuted, has oppressed, has somehow dominated others and forced their will upon them in a way that they're not proud of. Do we have an answer? A lot of it they are repeating from their professors, absolutely.
People that do go to college have a great deal of wrong information, and their beliefs are putting it on the young ones, and they, again, look against it.
So it's not true, it's wrong, but they have been fed this misinformation.
It's true with the number of young people.
Correct.
But where it's coming from, the influence of the professors.
So what's the right information that we can give them? How do we explain Israel, our demand that Jerusalem remain eternally ours, and our demand that Israel have a Jewish character to its existence? How do we explain that to young people who, when they hear that, think of crusades and pogroms that were done against us as being the same thing? How do we help them see the difference between one and the other? So one thing is, get them to Israel, let them walk the streets, let them meet the Israelis, see that they are not jackboot thugs that are persecuting people and shoving Arabs into the gutter. Let them see what the people are like and experience what they go through on a day-to-day basis. And indeed, the Birthright program has been instrumental in this, of getting young people on the ground in Israel and seeing and experiencing the land has transformed many of their opinions. All right, so get them there, help them see it. But we can't ship everyone there, unfortunately. But we can't fire all the professors. We can't shut up all the people who say the lies and the disinformation, because we do live in a free country where people are allowed to speak. Well, I'm talking about talking to the students directly. I'm not saying that we need to change them, because we're not going to, and quite frankly, because of our First Amendment rights in this country, have very little opportunity to silence our false critics. And nor do I think it would be a good precedent to set. So what do we actually say? Not just shut up. What do we say that will convince them otherwise?
Jerusalem remains the holy city for Islam and for Christianity. And in Jerusalem, you have Al-Aqsa Mosque, you have the Church of the Sepulchre, the Church of whatever, and those are protected. And so, even though it's in Israel, which is a Jewish state, those sites are respected, and the Baha'i, I know, are immensely grateful that their building, their mosque, church, whatever it's called, in Haifa is maintained and protected against evildoers by the IDF. And so all we need to do is look at that inclusion of anything that seems to want to be there is all for protection and well-being.
So, exactly as Barbara is saying, one of the first things to point out is the reality, which is, at least religious-wise, is very plain for anyone to see, which is that a Muslim can worship in Israel in great freedom, and in fact is one of the only states in the Middle East where Shia and Sunni Muslims can worship without fear of being bombed or attacked by Shia or Sunni Muslims. They have the protection to worship as they wish within Israel in whichever form of Islam they feel is most appropriate, which is a freedom often denied to them, at least with any sort of sense of security, in other countries in the Middle East. And other minorities like the Baha'i or like the Druze are also allowed to worship within Israel's borders in peace at their own sites and in their own way. Christianity as well is in complete control of its own holy sites. Israel does not set who is in charge. Israel says, you decide who's in charge and we'll make sure that everything is safe. And when you look at the contrast, when Israel was not in control of Jerusalem from 1948 to 1967, over half of the synagogues that were in Israel, within Jerusalem, the Old City, were destroyed. Jewish access to any part of the Old City was absolutely prohibited, and others as well were discriminated against by the Jordanian occupation. So you have a very clear compare and contrast. Absolutely.
I think we have to be more verbal and open and to counteract the very loud Palestinian message that goes out there. I don't think we're helping ourselves with what seems to be this violence. We do have to counteract the effect of the media.
Exactly, but I want. What do we say? So let's talk about the Palestinian Arabs who live within the borders of Israel, who are Israeli citizens, who have Israeli passports, who are able to go to university and to live in Israel as free citizens, and who now have the third largest political party in Israel. Right? Where else but Israel in the Middle East can men and women, Muslims, vote in a free democracy where each vote actually counts and won't just be 98% loved our glorious leader? Only Israel. There is no other country in the Middle East where Muslims can vote freely, and certainly there is no other country in the Middle East where Muslim women can even go to the voting booth. Absolutely. So, time and time again, we have seen, and you need to be a spokesperson for the specifics of what Israel does that makes it an open and inclusive society to anyone who wants to live in peace. And the contrary is also true. If you don't want to live in peace, why would Israel be inclusive of you? If you want to board a bus with a bomb, should Israel say, well, you know, that's your right to choose? Of course not. Any more than we would allow someone who attacked our borders and our institutions to continue to do so in acts of violence. If someone preaches violence and hatred, whether they be Jewish or whether they be Muslim or whether they be anything, they are subject to the same laws and prosecution. And indeed, Israel has been cracking down. Tomorrow there will be a parade through the Old City, as there is on every day of every Yom Yerushalayim. And every year there are Jewish agitators who get up in the parade and start chanting racist and hateful slogans, and they are arrested and they are prosecuted. I don't think you would see the same treatment if the situation was reversed, but we need to explain to people that yes, Israel has a unique destiny. Israel has a unique place in the world. We have the right to our own unique destiny, just as every single nation and people as well has the right to the unique destiny. Why should Israel give that up when every other nation in the world fights to protect their own? Why should Israel be the only nation that's told, give up what has been the eternal symbol of your heart and your hope, the city of Jerusalem, because somehow that will make you seem more open? No, we will keep the city as it is in our heart and as it is in our land, and we will keep its gates open to all who come in peace. That is the mark of being inclusive. Anything less is called being a doormat. But we must speak strongly and clearly and to the notions of justice with these specific examples and these 1,000 more from the day-to-day life in Israel, so that people will understand. We cannot silence the critics. We cannot tell them simply to shut up. We cannot say that's all lies. We have to provide truth. We have to provide fact by fact, voice by voice, life by life, what the reality is and what Israel's dream is about. That is our responsibility and how I want you to go forward thinking about Yom Yerushalayim, the day of Jerusalem. Be proud that it is in our hands. Be proud that its gates stand open and that peace is reigning within its walls, and ensure that everyone knows that this is the vision of Israel for all the world. In the words of our prophets, we hope one day that representatives and people from all nations will walk the steps of Jerusalem, come to the temple rebuilt in the days of Mashiach when the world is united, and there we will all learn and worship the same God. Shabbat Shalom. On page 354, we continue with our own worship, with our Musaf service